All right, we are live.
Awesome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day to everyone who's out there watching right now.
Yes.
Or for the replay, joining us later. Right, Greg?
Indeed, indeed. Yeah, today's a big day for me. I'm starting my 5-day water fast. So, well, technically I started yesterday evening.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be a fun next few days.
Only water. I'm starting mine in 2 days.
Yes. We do this for health purposes.
I'm actually going to make a video about it for the Mary Daphne channel. So if
That'll
you're
be cool.
curious about it, we'll do that over there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It sounds extreme to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of science behind it, and we enjoy it for a lot of reasons. So yeah, I'm sure you'll talk all about that.
Yeah, I'll mention it in that video.
Yeah.
And you'll probably pop in here and there.
As I do.
As he does.
So what about today? What do we have on the docket?
Today our topic, related to the lesson that we put out earlier, it's about, how to stop beating yourself up over past mistakes or, things that you did that you maybe now you're not that happy about, and just getting out of this like mental funk that so many people find themselves in at different periods in their life. And so, there's that whole like negative self-talk that happens that we can actually proactively help silence. And that's what that lesson is that we put out earlier. So definitely check that out for some strategies for, changing the way you talk to yourself, basically. And that the reason we bring that up on this channel about, for social skills and communication is because that's the intrapersonal communication aspect of, our communication and our interaction, right? How does our interaction look with ourselves within us, and how can that also relate to what we're doing with with how we're interacting with other people, right? If you're not in a good mental space, then it's gonna be very difficult to interact with people, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think we often do like to tie in the internal thought process into the overall social skills framework because so much of, like you're saying, what we do externally begins with what happens internally.
Yes.
And so I've certainly found that the more settled my mind is, the more composed I am, the much more pleasant and smooth and fluent my interactions with other people will be. And you can see that, right? When you interact with someone who's feeling down, or disheveled, right? Or
just like not put together.
Discombobulated, right? You can tell it. Yeah, you can tell. And it's harder to connect with them. It's harder to communicate clearly. So I think today's topic, this week's topic about getting out of a funk is very related to social skills because it's hard to have an uplifting and energetic and productive conversation with someone if you're down on yourself, right? If you're feeling frustrated and just, out of sorts.
Yeah, in a funk, right?
In a funk.
It's like weird, inexplicable. Sometimes it's, you can explain it. Sometimes it's inexplicable, but it's just that like heaviness that you feel that you don't want to, do your workout. You don't want to see your friends. You don't want to, even having your favorite smoothie doesn't brighten your day, right?
Yeah, it's often
like that,
subtle,
right?
It's often, like it just, I like the idea of just like a weight sort of sitting on you, right? You might feel in your chest or in your throat a little bit, or your stomach, right? These areas that it collects this weight, and it's hard to do stuff because there's this weight on you. Yeah, and that's why I love the word funk. Right. The funk, just like it's not to be confused with funky, the music genre.
Yeah,
funk,
from the 70s,
which I love as well. Yes. But
completely opposite feeling.
That's the funny thing.
That's like super groovy.
Funk music is like all about good energy, good vibes.
It's hype up. It's like great for like a workout playlist.
Right, exactly.
Whatnot.
But this kind of funk, it's just like it's hard to put to words, and so a funk just I think encapsulates the sort of difficult to explain, but very real constraint on your mind.
Right. And I think what's interesting is that how closely, having that negative self-talk and being in a funk, how closely that relates to rumination and overthinking.
Yeah.
And we put out a video lesson and a live stream about that. I can link it below for you too to check it out. But it's very related, right? Because when you're in a funk, you're probably replaying something a few times in your head, right? Oh, I should have answered that email differently. Why didn't I answer that email the way that I know now how to answer that email? It's like 5 hours later, right?
Yeah.
But the whole point with that is that you have to stop yourself from doing that. So I like to think of it as you get like one chance to play back the VHS. We're 90s kids. Yeah. So VHS in your head, right? And you get that one chance. You can't keep replaying it and wear out the VHS to the point of it. Because what happens when you overwatch something? It physically breaks, right?
That's when you know you've played it too many times.
Yeah, which is fine on YouTube. Like, feel free to watch this again and again. I mean, we're not telling you not to. But
it's Google servers, not our cassette player.
Exactly. So if it's a cassette player, right? Remember?
If you play a tape over and over, these magnetic strips that have all the data on there essentially start to wear out.
Yeah. They'll come out. Like, you'll see their internal.
Exactly.
They'll spill their guts out.
And you don't want that going on in your brain, right? You don't want to keep thinking about the same thing over and over and over. And that's the rumination process.
Exactly.
And I think that is very tied to being in a funk.
Yeah.
Because this funk, whether it's audible in your head or whether it's sort of
like physical, you feel it, right?
Yeah, or it could be physical.
Yeah.
It typically has to do with something. And so you're saying play it back once.
So I'm saying if you're going to play it back, just you get one replay. And then what you want to do with that replay, you want to make it like a proactive replay, right? So what you do is you find a teachable moment in that. So instead of beating yourself up over it, oh, I shouldn't have sent that email that way. That was like a big mistake. I, should have used this language and not that language or whatever, right? We can find the total minutiae to beat ourselves up over. But the point is that you find a teachable moment in that experience that you're not happy about. And going forward, that's now your new, perspective on what to do, say, when writing an email or responding to someone or whatever you're dealing with at the time. So you get one replay, and from that replay, you have to find a teachable moment.
Yeah, it's almost like it's the director's commentary, the director's commentary. So you can often with like your DVD, we're going with all the retro tech here, but with your DVD, they'll have extras on there, and one of them will be director's commentary. So you can rewatch the film, and the director is sort of annotating every little scene.
With the tonal overlay.
Oh, here the actors wanted to do this, but I wanted to do that. Oh, here we had trouble with the lighting. There, a deer walked onto the set, right? So they sort of point out all the challenges and strangeness. So that's exactly, I think, what you're describing for this replay. You play it back with the purpose of an analysis, right? Of deriving some kind of understanding. Benefit, understanding.
Some value
right? Yeah. From that replay. It's not just a mindless replay where you're, in a state of self-pity.
Yeah.
It's a very deliberate replay where you're looking to figure out a solution, right? And understanding it better and how it can be avoided. And if you do that, I would agree that, after doing it, you're much less likely to sort of ruminate after that because you've solved mystery.
Yeah, exactly. You know what to do now in the future, right?
Right.
So really kind of shifting your perspective on failure as being a stepping stone to success, or really there being no such thing as failure. That's another way to look at it. It's just all teachable moments, right? Learning experiences. Such is the existence of life, right? That kind of thing will really get you far in terms of like getting you out of a funk, or maybe you notice you're starting to slip into a funk and you immediately get yourself out of it so that you don't fall into that abyss.
Yeah.
Right?
And I like that idea of noticing, right?
Yeah.
That noticing process, being aware of it happening is really important.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Being able to detect when you're getting pulled into a funk that you're not in your normal state of mind, your optimal state of mind. That itself is a real skill.
Yeah.
That can help with this process, right? If you can identify that inflection point when you start going from normal to worse than normal, you can immediately start to employ some remedial tactics to sort of mitigate the process.
Yeah. So it comes back to, knowing yourself and knowing how your different, your different states of emotional states, I guess, right?
And I think you might have mentioned this in one of your videos before. I'm almost certain you did. But running essentially diagnostics on yourself on a regular basis, right? I think that can be really helpful. Just building in sort of sporadic diagnostics, basically a self-check-in.
Right.
How am I doing right now? How am I feeling? And that's something we don't do, right?
No.
All the time I feel like we're just going through our day and things are happening to us and we're feeling things, but we're not really noticing that we're feeling them.
Right. We do a lot of meditation, and one of the meditation recently that we did, meditation sessions, you could call it, that we did was about, one of the lines was something like, are you breathing in the universe or is the universe breathing you in? Remember that
exactly.
one? Yeah. And so that's a good way of looking at it. Are you letting this like potential funk get into your head? Are you letting it like control you? Or are you gonna squash that thing?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like an invasive species in your mind, right? You want to get it out of there before it like has its grips on you.
And address it. You want to address it.
Yeah. So what were you gonna say?
I think I was going to answer the question you're about to ask.
How are you gonna address it?
Okay.
Yes.
So my strategy, something that works very well for me, is when I'm in a funk.
Yeah.
It's often because I'm a bit directionless, right? I don't quite know what it is I want to do, what my objective is in that moment.
Hold up. Are you talking about like in that day, like what you're going to do in that day, or like bigger picture, like in life?
It can be either.
Or
and I'll get to that actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So the funk typically begins when I'm a little bit, like I said, directionless. And I don't know what to do with the day. I don't know what to do with the hour.
Yeah.
Because I like to stay occupied. I like to feel productive. And if I'm not productive, that's when the funk starts creeping in. So what helps for me is to identify my priorities. And by doing that, I'm able to start to course correct my day and become productive and feel like I'm getting something done that's important. And to your question, are we talking about your priorities in that moment or sort of longer term?
Yeah.
What I find is that the hardest priority to come up with is the most immediate one.
Yeah.
Right? And so if I can't figure out what it is I'm supposed to be doing that hour, then I zoom out to that day and I say, okay, what am I supposed to be getting done today? And then based on what I need to get done today, I can say, okay, well, with the amount of time I have left, this is how my hour should break out, and this is what I should be doing this hour, right?
Yeah.
Now, if I don't know what I'm supposed to get done that day, I zoom out even further, right? What's a bigger term priority? Maybe something in the space of a month that I'm trying to get done.
Right.
And so if you have trouble figuring out what it is your priority is, just keep zooming out. And eventually you'll get to a point where you get super macro, right? Like, my goal is to buy a house, right? Or to travel the world or to start a family.
Right. Or to be happy.
To be happy, right? You're going to get, eventually, if you zoom out far enough, there'll be something you want to do. And once you identify that, then you can start to zoom back in.
Yeah.
Right? And
I love
figure out,
that.
okay, this is what I want to do on a year basis.
Yeah.
What do I need to do each month to get there? And then what do I need to do, in the 4 weeks of this month?
Right.
And then what about this specific week?
Yeah.
And then what about today? And then, okay, this is what I want to get done today. How can I break up my day in a way that I can get each of those objectives done and accomplish what I need to get done that day?
Right.
Right? So sort of breaking out, zooming out, and then zooming back in a very methodical way, I find is a great exercise in reminding you what's important. And once you get focused and oriented toward what's important to you, you stop feeling, I should say, at least I stop feeling this sense of, want, right?
Yeah.
Or this sense of
like directionlessness.
Yeah, directionlessness, being lost. Instead, I have a clear path. And when you have that clear path, you suddenly, you're not worried about this funk. The funk doesn't even exist anymore because you have a purpose.
Yeah, you've obliterated the funk because now you have all the Lego pieces in front of you. You know what the Lego is supposed to look like at the end.
Yeah.
And you have the steps you need to take to get there. It's just a matter of time. The other thing that I think is a good way of getting you out of that kind of negative state of mind, that mental funk, stopping that negative self-talk from, taking over that day or that week even. I think for some people it could last for quite a while, right?
Yeah, you can be in a funk for, people can be in a funk for a year. Right?
Scary, right? So, but we have control. That's the beauty of it, right? We can decide when to turn off and on the funk. That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah.
But you get what I'm saying. So the thing that I think sort of helps me is when I kind of think about, the good things that I've already been doing, right? So let's say I'm in a funk about, I don't know, something at work, let's say. Then I go and think about all the things that I did really well at work and what my boss said about me, what my colleagues felt, like maybe look at some old reports, or you can even start to like accumulate that. It doesn't just have to be about work. It could be something that your friend did for you, or a nice pleasant surprise that one of your friends did or something. And you can start writing them down on little pieces of paper and then folding them up and putting them in a glass jar, and have that glass jar somewhere accessible to you. It could be somewhere in your office, your room, your bookshelf, wherever you know you're gonna go to. And then when you're feeling that sort of negative feeling creep up on you, you can reach for that jar, pick out a piece of paper just at random, read it like a fortune cookie, right? And feel like an immediate endorphin rush. That's like a nice little reminder, right? Because sometimes we forget, right? We're so focused on, being better and doing better and being better than yesterday, right? All these like big motivational, sayings.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, we also have to remember that we did a lot already, right? And if you haven't done a lot already, that's okay. Like, you'll have an opportunity to do a lot. As long as you're in that mindset.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. It's kind of like something else that we've mentioned before, which is a gratitude journal.
Yeah.
Right. Making a concerted effort to write down the things you're grateful for. What I like about yours is that you're almost doing it proactively, right? Not necessarily when you're in a funk, but just in general. You're taking those notes and putting them on the paper, and you're basically building up a reserve of good feeling thoughts.
For a rainy day.
For a rainy day, and you can tap that reserve when you need to.
Exactly, and then fold it back and put it back in. And then you can even like color, take like construction paper and make it colored paper so that you can, looks pretty in a jar. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Something fun for you to do.
And so I think building off of that, doing that in the moment when you're in a funk can also help, right? Let's say you don't have that piggy bank of fun thoughts. You can just sit down and start to list out the things you are grateful for, right? Because, we talk about this a lot, but if we're able to participate in this live session, right? If you have a computer, the internet, a roof over your head, and you're able to watch this live, you definitely have a lot to be grateful for. I certainly do.
Definitely.
And so sometimes we just have to remind ourselves of that. And so sitting down and writing out a list of things, make it 10 that you're really grateful for. And just do that every few hours, every day, right? Do it until the funk starts to dissipate.
Yeah, dissipate.
Dissipate, right, exactly. I think that's a very good practice for your brain.
Exactly.
Right? Just to, because when you're in a funk, typically what's happening is those negative pathways are firing, right, in your brain. And they'll just keep firing. It's kind of like when you're skiing, you get stuck in that one rut that everyone's skiing in. Your goal is to sort of pop off and go into the powder and create a new track for yourself.
Glade skiing.
Glade skiing, right? And to do that, using a list of things that you're grateful for can sort of pop you out of the rut and into some fresh snow. Yeah. If you're a skier.
Exactly. We like skiing.
Yeah.
So another thing that you can think about is maybe taking the focus off of you for a while. Because sometimes when we're so in our heads, like we're just focusing on us, right? And that's good when you're like happy about things and positive about things. But when things aren't going your way that day or that week, then you might want to take the focus off of you for a little bit. And what I mean by that is like phone a friend. And so when you phone a friend, you can ask them how they're doing. Is there anything that you can do to help them? Is there any advice that you can give them? It sounds kind of ridiculous, right? In a way, because you might not seem like you're in a place to be doling out like nuggets of wisdom.
Yeah.
But you'd be surprised at, how much value you still have to offer someone else, right? Even in that, when you're on the brink of being in a rut, or when you're deep in that abyss of a rut.
Yeah.
So basically taking the focus off of you and trying to help someone out. You can even go out and do some volunteering. You can do things where it's not about you. And taking that focus off of you really helps like alleviate that pressure of, oh, I need to find my like purpose. I need to, write better emails. I need to, I don't know, whatever, smile more. I don't know, whatever you're, feeling upset about in the moment.
I love that. Yeah. Basically creating something else that your brain can focus on.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think I do that a lot, actually.
Yeah. You're good about that.
Yeah, because there is so much out there that we could direct our attention to. I love the idea of helping people. Because that also provides
pets too, right? It could be
pets
like
taking care of things,
taking care of,
right?
like, even watering plants, right?
Totally, yeah. Those are all ways to sort of caring for something else takes the sort of onus off of worrying about yourself because you have something else or someone else to worry about. Another one that I think mentioned on the last live, but I'll reiterate here is taking on a new challenge.
Yeah, that's a good
one. Learning a new language, learning a new skill, picking or sort of putting yourself in a situation that you're not used to. Like you're saying, it's difficult when you're in a funk to sort of to like do something that's out of your comfort zone
and switch gears.
Right? It's you don't feel prepared for that. It's kind of like when you do a heavy workout the day before. It's like, well, I don't want to do another heavy workout. My body's still exhausted.
Yeah.
But sometimes by doing a different style of workout, or in this case, a different activity, it pushes you to recalibrate your mind.
Yeah.
And that can be very effective for sort of jolting you out of that sort of negative situation.
Yeah. So anything where you're like purposefully putting yourself in uncertain situations or uncomfortable situations, that really increases your resistance to finding yourself in a rut. So if we're talking about like immune boosting properties against ruts, right?
Yeah, resilience.
Then that's something that you might want to, start incorporating in your day-to-day. And this could be something like, ramping up your workout intensity, or maybe taking cold showers, or doing like sauna treatment, or doing like these things where they fasting, right? Like water fasting. These things sound extreme. And of course, you need to do your own research and see what is, best for you, or not like telling you to do things that you shouldn't be doing. But basically, having that awareness that there are some other things that you could be doing to put yourself in those uncomfortable situations, so that when you feel like there's this uncomfortable feeling creeping in on you, embrace it, accept it in the moment, and then wash it off, right? You don't need to keep that like mud on you, basically.
Yeah, the Stoics actually have a whole process built around this, and they call it essentially voluntary suffering.
Yeah.
Right? Where you are electing to take on a certain amount of discomfort as a means of building up your resistance.
Yeah.
Right? And it is like strengthening the muscle. And if you deploy it when the times are good, on a voluntary basis, when times are bad on an involuntary basis, that all that resilience that you've been developing comes to the forefront and protects you, right?
Exactly.
It's a strength that you can draw from. And at that point, you don't need to voluntarily, impose suffering, because it's happening just as a fact of life. And so you're prepared for it. right? It's the same concept. You don't want to go and give a speech without practicing giving a speech. And a lot of the time when bad things happen to us, it's the equivalent of walking onto stage without doing any preparation, right? We're not expecting it.
Yeah.
We're not prepared for it.
Yeah.
It just happens to us and we're caught off guard. And that can easily throw us into this funk.
Right.
But if instead we've been spending time when there isn't as much pressure, building up our reserves and developing strategies for coping with difficult situations. When those difficult situations arrive, when that difficult mindset arrives, we're in a much better position to withstand the onslaught.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's these little things, right? These small changes that you can make when it's sunny out, so that you can keep building resistance and build up those reserves for a rainy, snowy day.
It's actually very analogous to that jar that you're talking about, right? You're filling up that jar
with little rays of sunshine.
With rays of sunshine when they come.
Yeah.
Right? You don't wait till it's cloudy to try and collect the sunlight because you're not going to get much.
So start on your, let's call them celebration jars right now.
Yeah.
Or you can call them pep talk jars. You can call them pump it up jars. I don't know. Come up with your own name. And start every day. Maybe, write down one good thing.
Turbo jars.
Turbo jars. Yeah. Like sunshine jars.
Yeah.
Anything that it doesn't have to be like right from the recent past. It could be from like 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It could be from your childhood. Things that you did to positively impact someone. Like you tutored someone and they passed their exam with flying colors, right? Things like that. Just
or you sometimes hear from your students who say, I was so grateful for your teaching.
Yeah.
I'm not able to do this, and it's because of you, right? Little things like that.
Yeah, that always warms my heart. I mean, and it's funny how people still remember you after like 10 years. That's always a nice like reminder of even, when you spend a year with someone teaching them, right? Teaching a group of students, they still remember you. Like I'm sure you remember teachers that made a positive impact on you, right? I certainly do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's don't overlook all that good stuff and then just like, walk around with a cloud over your head.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, when you're in a funk, it feels like that's never going to change.
Yeah.
It feels like that's become the permanent state, but it never is.
Yeah.
It never is. And so by developing some of these sort of protective strategies and skills, you can quickly get through that funk and get back into the mindset that helps you be productive and do the things you love to do.
Yeah. And the one last thing that I'll say is I'm just gonna like copy Nike here for a second, just do it kind of thing. I, to be honest, did not want I wanted to do my workout yesterday, which was my recovery day. It's funny how that kind of...
Right.
Today is not my recovery day, and I did not want to do it. And I was feeling kind of like sluggish. I was like, well, I'll just read my book right now. I was doing a little bit of procrastinating, and I was fully aware of it. And I said, I just got to do it. I'll go lighter than what I was intending to. And then by the end of it, I was going pretty hard. But so I was happy that I did it. And now I'm like, that was the best decision.
Totally, showing up, right?
Yeah.
Showing up is 50% of the battle.
Doing it.
Yeah.
And telling yourself you don't have to go full in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you start to build that momentum, you find that you are going full in. So just do it.
Just do it. Yeah, what a great slogan.
I love that. It's so good. Nike's awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, we would, of course, love to hear what works for you guys in terms of getting out of funks. We all get in them.
Yeah.
We all get out of them.
Yeah.
And to the extent that we could be more deliberate and proactive about getting out of them, that helps everyone. So if there's something that you do that works really well, let us know. Let everyone know.
Share it with the community.
Yeah.
It really helps, right? We all, share learnings with each other.
And what works for us may not work for other people. And so the more diverse and comprehensive the database of ideas is, the better everyone benefits.
Exactly. And that way you can pick and choose and, try a different strategy every week.
Yeah.
Right?
So, anyways, thanks for joining us today. This was a lot of fun.
This was a lot of fun. It always
hopefully
is.
Instructive. And
That's
we'll
right.
see you in the next show.
Yeah, wish us luck on our water fest.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah. Should be fun.
All right. Well, happy exploring, and we will see you in the next one.
Have a great weekend.
Bye, everyone.